Welcome to the Derek and Emily Pods, where we ditch faces for pure conversation. Emily, why do you think faceless podcasts are exploding in popularity lately? What's fueling this trend toward anonymity?
Derek, it's fascinating when you remove the visual element, listeners focus entirely on the ideas, not appearances. According to a 2023 Edison research survey, 68% of podcast audiences say they value authenticity over celebrity. Faceless formats create a level playing field where substance outshines showmanship.
That makes sense. It reminds me of classic radio, but with a modern twist. Do you think this stripped-down approach builds more trust, or does it risk feeling impersonal to some listeners?
Great question. In many ways, faceless pods actually foster deeper trust. Without distractions, there's a sense of intimacy like overhearing a genuine campfire chat. Psychologists call this the parasocial effect, where listeners form one-sided bonds with hosts just through voice and ideas.
So, stripping away visuals can paradoxically create stronger connections. As we transition, let's dig into why people are so drawn to these unfiltered, long-form conversations in the first place. Emily, decades ago, deep conversations happened over drinks or around a campfire. Now, millions tune in online for hours-long podcasts. What's behind this shift from private chats to public digital dialogues?
It's a digital renaissance, Derek. As our lives get busier and more screen-focused, people crave genuine, unhurried discussions. Podcasts recreate that late-night barstool vibe at scale. A 2022 Pew study found 55% of listeners prefer episodes over an hour, suggesting real appetite for depth, not sound bites.
That's pretty wild, considering social media's all about brevity. Is there a psychological reason people want these marathon conversations?
Absolutely. Humans are wired for storytelling and nuance. Long-form podcasts allow hosts to explore gray areas, admit uncertainty, and challenge ideas, something that 280-character tweets just can't do. It's like slow-cooked food versus fast food. Richer flavor, more satisfying.
Let's pivot to a core question. Why are people so willing to trust podcasts often hosted by strangers to shape their views? What makes this format so persuasive?
It's a blend of access and vulnerability. Unlike polished news anchors, podcast hosts often admit flaws, share personal stories, and let conversations wander. This transparency builds credibility. In fact, a 2021 Reuters report found podcast listeners are 2.5 times more likely to trust their favorite hosts than mainstream journalists.
That's a huge trust gap. Do you think there's a risk, though? Like, can podcasts become echo chambers or spread misinformation because of this trust?
Definitely. The intimacy of podcasts means listeners can lower their critical guard. There's a real responsibility on hosts to challenge ideas, present multiple sides, and sometimes even invite opposing views. Otherwise, the same qualities that build trust can reinforce bias or myths.
So, the power of podcasts cuts both ways. As we look ahead, let's explore how this shapes the future. What's next for faceless, idea-driven audio? Emily, as podcasts become more diverse and boundary-pushing, what changes do you see coming? Will faceless, unfiltered formats keep thriving, or will the pendulum swing back toward polished content?
I think we'll see even more experimentation. Imagine AI-generated guests debating real hosts, or interactive pods where listeners shape the conversation in real time. The faceless trend also means any, regardless of looks, location, or background, can build a following. It democratizes the airwaves.
That's exciting. But do you see any new challenges on the horizon, especially as technology blurs the line between real and synthetic voices?
Absolutely. Deepfakes and voice cloning could undermine trust if listeners can't tell who's real. Platforms may need new verification tools, or perhaps a digital fingerprint for hosts. Still, at its core, the hunger for honest, meaningful conversation will keep driving this medium forward.
Well put. Whether you're here to be challenged, inspired, or just unwind, there's a seat at our digital campfire. Stay curious, and let's see where the next conversation takes us.